Hello, folks. Welcome to the Solar Fit Renewable Energy Show. Bill Gallagher back again with you this morning with my wing woman,
Gloria Edson.
Okay, first thing we need to do today, tell you where we're coming from. This is our studio in Daytona Beach, Florida, the mecca of speed. And Gloria's going to give a weather report. What's going on here today?
Well, I think our summer weather is getting ready to hit us hard. We have had a beautiful last few days, but it's been getting up there in heat and humidity, and we've had quite the storms in the afternoon. So it's starting our afternoon thunderstorms and rain, and which we really need. We've been pretty dry for, oh my goodness, probably 2-3 months. It's been terribly dry here. So now we have an opportunity to enjoy beautiful rain.
We had some rain last night, didn't we?
Oh my goodness, yeah. We had a lot of rain and a lot of the lightning was flashing, and it was pretty cool.
Well, you know what's coming up here shortly is the hurricane season. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. First, I want to give a shout-out to our friends at Daytona Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram for their loyal support through the year. And another shout-out to our favorite driver, Mr. Daniel Dye, who finished 11th place in Texas last week. It was a great race. Man, I'll tell you what, he's doing good. He's driving full-time for the Xfinity Series Colic Racing, the number 10 Champion Container Chevrolet. SolarFit sponsored as well, we might say. Very proud of that. Yeah. He's carrying the SolarFit colors and the Race to Stop Suicide message across America and into people's living rooms through their TV sets. It's unbelievable. CW, if you're watching that, you watch the Xfinity races. The next one's coming up is in Charlotte. I think it's on the 24th of the month. And I don't know, are you going to that one, Gloria?
No, I don't think so.
I might go up there. It's always good. Charlotte is just what a beautiful town. Beautiful town. Anyway, you know what I think we're going to talk about today, Gloria, because of the time of the year. You know, we're in May. We're in May, right? Let's talk a little bit about solar swimming pool heating. We don't spend enough time on that.
That's true. We don't. Well, it's, a lot of people are, when they first purchase a beautiful pool, which nowadays can run anywhere from, $75,000 to $150,000. I've seen some pretty big, beautiful pools. A lot of people that move here really don't think that they need to heat their pool. So they get this beautiful pool completed, and then they go to get in it, and they cannot really enjoy it until the dead of summer. And that's just the environmental conditions. It has to do with the ground temperature as well as the environment, and your pools just don't heat up until it's middle of summer. If you track the ocean water, the pools are about the same temperature as the ocean. It may be slightly warmer this time of the year just because it's been so dry and hot. But on an average, most people can't really get in and enjoy their pool until about, I would say, maybe the end of May, 1st of June. That's when it starts to hit 80, and it can still be pretty chilly for folks because of the fact that air temperature and water temperature are so different. When there's a huge differential between the two, the water feels cold. So I can't get into the ocean water even when it's 80 because the temperature outside is closer to 90, 95 degrees and the humidity's high. So it feels cold to me anyway. Most people like it about, I'd say, 85 to 87 degrees.
I think you're
right.
That's
perfect.
I think the ladies like it a little warmer than the guys, but you're absolutely right. And I think part of what's happening is a lot of folks are coming down from up north, right, and they just assume that, gosh, I'm going to Florida, I can swim. But I think the driving factor is that almost all the pools down here being built have screen enclosures. Now, if you happen to be from up north, you might be familiar with the term cages. They call them cages. The first time I thought of that, I thought, wild animal. There's a cage. No, they call screen enclosure cages, but there's very few of them up north, right? But down here we have these things. They crawl on their belly like a reptile, and sometimes they are a reptile.
Yeah.
And they get in the pool, and there's bugs and there's all sorts of things. So we typically would screen a swimming pool so that we can enjoy it. The only issue is when you screen a pool, you lose about 8 to 10 degrees of heat. So the question is, got this beautiful pool, paid X number of dollars for it, can only use it a couple months in the summer. We got to find a way to heat the pool. So it's not unusual for someone to go a year, maybe a year and a half before they say, I love having coffee out by the pool, but I can't get in the darn thing. How am I going to heat it?
That's true. That is absolutely true, and they do. They then start realizing that if they've spent that kind of money on their pool, they better consider some type of heat source. So that's their next step.
Yeah. So let's talk about the different types of heat sources. Okay. There's gas, and if there's gas, there's gas, right? So what type of gas are there?
Well, there's propane and there's natural gas, and recently I have chatted with some folks that have propane to heat their pool, and they're spending on their propane about $250 a month just to heat it. I think we figured over $2,000 to $3,000 for the year just to enjoy their pool, and it's a small pool to heat with propane, and they liked it very warm. So that's the other thing, and they used it year round.
Wow. Well, I think propane, when we think about the availability, very few areas locally have natural gas, right? So they have to be propane. Propane's probably 3 times the cost of natural gas, and of course you have to depend on it being delivered to the home.
That's right.
And paying for it stuff. I think it's a great idea for just the spa. So if you have a pool spa combination, man, that's perfect. You got solar for the pool and gas for the spa. That might be a good combination. But to heat the pool just with gas, you'd have to have 3 checkbooks, and it'd have to be all full.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I know propane is not getting any cheaper. It's certainly increasing as well. So definitely what you mentioned, having it for a spa is a perfect solution, because when you want to go out and enjoy it in the middle of the night or when it gets dark out, you want to be able to heat that smaller body up fairly quickly so you can get in and enjoy it and then get off to bed.
Okay. You have the beverage and off to bed. Okay,
yeah, there we go. The beverage and maybe a little snack.
Okay, but then there's other sources. There's also heat pumps. What is a heat pump?
Well, a heat pump is similar to what you have to heat and cool your home. The difference is that what you have currently for your home is an air-to-air, so it actually takes the air in and extracts either the cold or the heat from the air, and that's what warms and cools your home. Well, when you're looking at a pool, you're looking for a heat pump that is air to water. So it does similar, only it's typically designed to heat the pool. So it actually draws in the air, extracts the heat from the environment, and then it transfers that directly to the pool. So you can enjoy the pool with that heat pump.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of a heat pump, if you elect to go that position, which would be kind of, if you couldn't use solar, the second best way would be a heat pump, is they have a very high coefficient of performance, right? So if you have a COP of 6, that means you're getting $6 worth of energy for $1 worth of cost. So it's much more cost effective to heat a pool with a heat pump. And of course, Gloria, all the different areas you service here, I think what you're finding to be really, really popular is if they have a heat pump, is adding solar electric. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, that has been a big win for everybody, because they've already invested in a heater for their pool, and there's the big bill at the end of the month after they've used it and didn't realize the addition that they have to put into their pool to heat it. So a lot of times people will not turn it on until they absolutely feel like they want to or have to, and then that way, they're reducing their time that they can enjoy the pool. Well, by adding solar electric, the benefit there is they can not only use their heater all year round because it's sized to heat that pool, and then they also get a tax credit, which is from the government, a 30% of the investment. and they're saving, so they're not only saving to heat their pool, it doesn't disrupt their budget because it's specifically designed to sized for their pool to heat it. When they're not using it for their pool, it's actually coming into the house and eliminating or reducing their electric bill. So it's a win-win. They get to use it all year round, whether it's to heat that spa or heat the pool or to reduce their electric costs. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay, so just so make sure I understand this clearly, if they have an existing pool heat pump, they can use solar electric, a solar power system, to operate the heat pump, and then when the heat pump is not being used, they can experience the savings on their electric bill from going solar.
Correct.
Wow. That is great. Okay, and the solar electric part qualifies, depends on the customer, of course, on their tax appetite, if you will, but qualifies for a 30% tax credit.
Yeah, that's a huge savings, and we have programs that are designed where if you invest in something like that, it literally does not cost you a penny to own it through the program because your savings is typically more than what you would pay to heat that pool.
Wow. So now you've got free energy from the sun that's heating the pool through a solar electric system and a heat pump. That's ingenious. So we can do that for customers. Really, I really think an ideal application for that would be, installing a heat pump if they want one, if they want to swim, later, and no matter what the weather is, but having the solar electric do it, that is ideal. You do a lot of that, don't you?
Yeah, I have. I think what's happened is a lot of pool builders will steer the customer in toward the heat pump because it's easier for them, possibly, or that they just don't. The customer just doesn't understand the differences. But typically, once they get it and they realize the expense of it, that's where having that additional knowledge of putting in solar electric will benefit the homeowner, and everybody wins with that situation.
And I know you work with a lot of local pool builders, helping them understand that and do training for them and stuff, and that's really, really great. So then there's a third way to heat the pool, and that's called solar heating. Talk about that.
And that's solar thermal. So the solar electric that we were just talking about utilizes the sun's light. And so the sun comes up every day and produces energies, and that energy then goes directly into your electrical panel box that services anything that is powered by the utilities. Then it's actually powered by the sun. With the thermal, it's using the sun's heat. So the benefit there is as the days become warmer and warmer, or the sun is shining on that panel, and being that it's black, it doesn't matter what time of the year, if that sun is striking you and you have black on, you can definitely feel the heat that's being penetrated from the sun. So that heat then is again transferred into the pool and brings the temperature of the pool up, and you can enjoy the pool comfortably about 10 months out of the year, 9 to 10 months, depending on environment and depending on whether or not you use some type of a cover to keep the heat from evaporating.
Sure thing. We have covers. We also have liquid blanket. That's pretty cool. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the liquid blanket has been around for quite a long period of time. There's a lot of products on the market today, and that one I prefer, I like it more than any of them because you use very little of it. If you have a 5,000 gallon or 5,000 square foot pool, you're only using 3 ounces to take care of any heat loss. So what happens is when the pump shuts off at night, it literally floats to the surface and creates a little barrier so that the heat is not lost. So it reduces that heat loss, and then the next day when the pump starts up again, and as long as it's warm enough out, you're not losing as much heat, and you can gain more a little faster the next day, just because you haven't lost much.
Wow, that's interesting. So there's 3 or 4 different ways to heat a pool. Folks, we're up against a little break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hi folks, Bill Gallagher with SolarFit here. Have you ever thought about utilizing solar power for your home or business? Well, there's never been a better time to plug into the sun and stop renting electricity. How would you like to let your roof start paying you each month? Give us a call at 445-7606. That's 445-7606. Or visit us at solarfit.com and set yourself free.
SolarFit your life and set yourself free with the sun's free energy.
Hey folks, welcome back to the SolarFit Renewable Energy Show. Bill Gallagher with Gloria.
Yes, today. I'm here, Gloria Edson.
We decided because the weather is moderating, it's getting really, really nice, and people aren't able to enjoy their pool. We're going to talk about pool heating. So if you didn't catch the first section, if you're driving and flipping through the channels, which I am guilty of doing, please go back to our podcast and listen in. I think you'll learn a lot about the different options that we have. So just to recap, we have gas heating, which would be propane or natural. We have pool heat pumps, and we have pool heat pumps with solar electric. And then we have solar, which is really, really cool. And Gloria, you started talking about that. And, I think there may be some misconception. People say, well, solar doesn't work because it doesn't work at night. Well, that's correct. It's, the sun takes a break. It actually, as it moves around, it has to warm and other parts of the earth, and that's perfect because that's when we're sleeping anyway, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We don't care if it does that while we're asleep, but the beauty is in the morning, what happens is the sun starts coming up. It shines on the solar panels. The solar panels register the amount of heat that's being produced from the sun. When there's a potential to heat the pool, the temperature at the roof is compared to the temperature of the pool, and it rotates a motorized diverter valve to automatically vector that water up to the solar panels. So you have to run your pool pump a certain number of hours, typically during the day anyway. All you're doing is you're shifting it up to the roof to be heated and right back to the pool. It's automatic. It's a set and forget. So you just do it one time. Now, the biggest argument you've got is if the lady of the house wants an 89 and you want 85, there is a little bit of a struggle for the thermostat. Okay.
Yes, I have had a few of my customers go through that difference. So it can be a bit of a challenge, but they still find a way to compromise.
They do. Yeah, you made a good point, Gloria. Without any heat in the pool, and you get a couple of months of the year, the thing that occurs to me is, without any source of heat, the pool temperature will never be perfect. It'll never be perfect because you're relying on the outside temperature and the atmosphere and all this stuff, but they're not putting any heat directly in the pool. So even though you can get in the pool at a certain temperature during the summer, it's much different than having it the perfect temperature, right? So
absolutely.
You set that thermostat, now all of a sudden it's like, you're on easy street.
Yeah, it's kind of like, a home that doesn't have a thermostat to run your air, and you wanted a perfect temperature, but you're running to that thermostat and turning it up or down on a regular basis. Well, with the solar, the benefit there is by having a thermostat, you're just going to set it and leave it alone. When that temperature either drops below or is a little too high, the thermostat just either kicks off or kicks on to maintain that. So when the summer comes and we get a lot of rain is cold, and as it pours into the pool from above, it's going to reduce the heat. And when it does that, if you were to go out right after a rainstorm, you'd find that it would be a little bit chilly. And at that point, if you have solar, it recognizes that difference. And once the storm passes, it just turns the system back on. So it turns it off when the storm hits because it recognizes that cold temperature. And once the storm leaves, it actually monitors that and turns the solar back on. So it's constantly monitoring and turning the system on and off throughout the day.
Good point. So when you're thinking about having the pool the perfect temperature, just think about that. How would that change your life if you had a swimming pool, instead of just going out and having a cup of coffee by the pool and listening to the water features, if you could actually use it? That's pretty cool. That's what I call the ultimate creature comfort.
It is, and I know a lot of my customers have grandkids, and the sad part is because as we age, that water tends to be a lot colder for us. Grandkids can jump in and enjoy it no matter what temperature, but in order to enjoy those kids, you want it perfect temperature for yourself and also for them. It makes them enjoy it a little bit more, but to be honest, kids don't recognize the difference. They'll be in the pool and they'll be cold and blue and shivering.
I've always thought that kids look better with blue lips than older people like us. I mean, I'm sorry, like me. I didn't mean to include you in that.
Much.
Yeah. I've actually had people tell me that one of the reasons that they're heating their pool is that they want the kids to stay home, right? They want the kids around their home, and obviously when you have a heated pool, it draws the kids, so they all come over to the place that's got the heated pool.
That's true. They do.
It's just for safety reasons. It's kind of cool. Instead of, and it really, we solar heated the pool down here at the YMCA. So we love that, but there's nothing really like having your own pool where you can go in anytime you want at whatever temperature you want, and instead of having to drive somewhere and kind of jump in with a whole bunch of other people. That's pretty cool.
Well, that is, but even for businesses, though, if you were to, like the Y, I know that they've attracted a lot more people to their facility because now a lot more people can get in and enjoy the pool. Most of them go there for therapeutic reasons or exercise, and it's a blessing because maybe they don't have a pool at home. So those are really benefits to not only the companies that have that opportunity to help people, but their membership fees may be less because now they're not paying for fossil fuels to heat that body of water.
You made a good point there, Gloria, about the hydrotherapeutic benefits of it. As we get older, a lot of us, our joints aren't quite as limber as they used to be, or maybe we've had an operation, maybe we've had a hip transplant, any of these things, and the doctor recommends hydrotherapy. Well, then, geez, where do you get that? Do you go to the doctor's office, or do you just go to your pool and sit around with a pina colada and talk about Jimmy Buffett? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Jimmy Buffett, that's one of your favorite areas. I always call it Jimmy Buffettville. You call it Latitudes.
It is called Latitudes. Margaritaville is another name that a lot of people give it, but there are a lot of folks out there, and a lot of them have pools because they enjoy getting in, and a lot of them use it for therapeutic reasons.
Yeah, there is a kind of a frolic vector for swimming. People frolic in their pools. Is that a real word?
Yeah.
When I go into Jimmy Buffettville, first thing I have to do is I have to take off my shoes and put on my sandals.
That's
right?
true.
And then as I hear all the splashing around, then I look and everybody's got your solar heated pool in there. Congratulations, Gloria. And they all look pretty happy.
They are. They're ecstatic because now they're able to extend their season, and it doesn't cost them any money to do so.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. Is money getting kind of important lately? It just seems like with the local utilities asking for a $9 billion rate increase, it seems like utility bills are going up. We don't really want to be paying to heat our pool, do we?
Not really. Unless you have solar electric to take care of that, because then you can use it year-round. When you're not using that heater, you're actually taking it off your electric bill.
Yeah, and I know that you're instrumental in helping a lot of people, particularly in Palm Coast, put in solar power systems with battery backup, which is pretty darn cool. Talk about that a little bit. You've got that for sure. Oh, yeah.
I've had it for quite a number of years and have enjoyed it for many years. Every time there's a storm, it's a blessing that I can't deny. Be able to just have it transfer from when there is no power to the battery storage without any noise. There's no worries about any type of fumes coming off of it. It's instantaneous, and it does exactly what I need it to do, which is to take care of my basic needs, and I'm able to enjoy life versus struggle trying to take care of what needs to be done when there is a power outage.
So what do your neighbors say that do not have solar when you're the only person on your street with your lights on? What do they say?
Well, I know my neighbor, she walks over with an extension cord.
Is that Irene?
Yeah.
She's got an extension. I think she's going into the refrigerator to get a cold one.
Yeah, they have a few refrigerators, so she'll come and ask for a little help, and I'll have her plug on into one of my outlets, and she's happy as a lark.
It's always good to have neighbors like that, for sure. Yeah, there's so many benefits to it. And right now we're blessed to have net metering, which is a fair way to compensate people that choose to power their own home, and we still have a 30% federal tax credit, which is an enormous benefit.
That's for sure, especially if you're going in that direction. What better time than now to make that switch, because we don't know what tomorrow will bring.
Well, we know that prices don't seem to be coming down, and a lot of people contact us just for that reason. Say, how do I protect myself, insulate myself against these higher prices? Because as we talk about, as we get older, we have to make choices, right?
Yeah.
The choices, maybe the quantity or quality of the food, the medicines that we have, how many doctor's appointments we can go to. I mean, all these things come into play. You don't think about that when you're like 26,
No, you don't. You don't. You're out doing your thing for life, and it's not until you start feeling those aches and pains and you're at the doctor a lot more that you're focused on something else.
And another thing I think is kind of an unknown for a lot of people is the cost. Everyone thinks that there's a large cost with solar, and I think you mentioned it during the first part. I mean, we have programs, we have programs where there's zero money down, and the savings from the electric bill pays for the system. And then on top of that, you get a tax credit. I'm not sure it gets much better than that.
It doesn't. And a lot of people that we have, all of our smart customers, have moved in that direction because they see the benefits of it.
I've had people say, well, I don't want to finance everything and anything, and because I don't want an additional payment. But I guess what they don't realize is the additional payment is covered by the savings from the electric system, so there is no additional payment.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that is true. So their solar is paying for their system versus having to pay the utilities and have that as a liability. You actually have an asset because it's putting that money back in your pocket. And yes, you're putting it toward your solar, but you're not changing your budget, which is a blessing.
Yeah, so we're harvesting the clean energy. We're turning it into either heat for the swimming pool, heat for the water, which we didn't have time to talk about. We're almost out of this session, but the water heating is a huge, huge savings instead of paying the electric company to heat the water, because every time you turn on the faucet, it's like turning on 45 100-watt light bulbs.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And I don't know about you, but if my mother caught me doing that, there would be a severe spanking. She would say, Billy, turn those lights off. I don't know how we could remember all those things that were back in the day, but she was right.
True. That is true.
They were conserving energy back in the late 50s.
Yep, they had it. They really had the knowledge of how to make sure and conserve, because they didn't have the funds to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, it was Edison said that the future is solar energy. Thomas Edison said that way back when he was friends with Henry Ford and they were making cars, and even back then Thomas Edison knew that the future was solar. So we're almost out of time. I want to let people know that if you'd like to have Gloria come out and have a visit and see if she can help you, the number is 445-7606. That's 386-445-7606. We service actually 7 counties in Florida, from Volusia, Flagler, all the way up to Jacksonville. So you're in the beautiful city of Jacksonville. There's St. Augustine tuning in. We're here for you. We're happy to help you. And what is? We're celebrating our 50th anniversary. 50.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to have a big party at the end of the month.
All right. Can't wait to party down.
And we're going to invite a lot of our customers. Not the whole 27,000.
There's a few of them.
Your house isn't quite that big.
They'll just drive by my house, right?
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we're going to sign off for now. Please, watch for Daniel up in Charlotte at the race up there. And if we have any questions about solar, we'd be happy to answer them for you. Again, his number is 445-7606. Gloria, have a good weekend.
You too.
Good
have
weekend,
a good one.
folks. Take care. Bye-bye.